Hi, I'm Betsy Barbieux, and this is CAM Matters. Come join us today as we talk about what it takes to be an effective board member. And we might even talk about things like transparency and being stiff-necked. Come join us.
Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy Barbieux is an information leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Welcome to this edition of CAM Matters. I'm Suzanne Lynn with Betsy Barbieux, and today, I love all our topics and episodes, but especially talking about personalities and what characteristics make up an effective board member. Betsy, this is going to be fun.
Oh, wow.
So how did you come up with this topic and why? What was your inspiration for this one?
Oh, yeah. Just a couple of really rough meetings in the last month or two.
Yeah.
And also my editor, Michael, hi, for the magazine said, can you talk about what makes a good board member and transparency and, all those kinds of things. And I said, okay. And eventually I'll write him an article, but I thought maybe we'll do a show first.
Sure. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit. When you go, okay, well, I'm being voluntold that I'm going to be a board member. Would you say the very low-hanging fruit is having available time?
Yes. And being willing to be involved, not just be a filler on a seat.
Being told you're going to be on there. Right.
And I had actually had an attorney call me yesterday who had been elected to his board of directors, and he's a personal injury attorney. He's not related, doesn't do any kind of work in our community associations. And so I said, oh, condolences. And he said, yeah, that's what I'm being told. I'm thinking he might need his personal injury firm.
Yeah.
By the time he finishes.
You've been to some meetings. That's funny.
But the availability of having time, having an interest, and, just kind of based on the last couple of months, which seemed to have been kind of rough with boards and things, not mine, not my little boards, but some others that I work with. Coming into the board without a personal agenda of I'm going to fire the manager, or I'm going to make sure that my building gets cleaned first this time instead of the other president's building getting cleaned first. Or I don't like that lawn contractor, I want to hire my nephew. Not coming in with a personal agenda and being willing to learn. This is a huge industry. The decisions that board members make are for multi-million-dollar corporations. And if you don't think that you're a board member of a multi-million-dollar corporation, then just do the math. Take the value of a unit or a home, just pick one, 300,000. Multiply it times the number of units or homes in that community. Even if it's only a dozen, much less 3,000 homes or units.
Wow.
We have something with more zeros than I know what to do with. And add to that the value of the common property, and add to that your budget amount, and add to that the amount of your reserves. And you have something with, I don't even know how many zeros that is. I don't know what kind of number that is, but it's a huge value that you're managing. So you should take it seriously. You should be open-minded, and I think it might have been in that last show I used that word, willful ignorance, or that phrase. But you need to be willing to learn, because the information is limitless that you need to learn, and you need as many professionals and as much networking in the industry as you can get to help you know what to do.
Right. It's limitless information, and also it's ever changing with
Ever
technology.
changing.
Yeah.
And the laws.
Right.
And like the collapse of the Champlain Towers uh,
Mhm.
a year or two ago now.
Yeah.
The then we have all these new laws,
Yeah.
and they're rewriting the new laws as we speak now. So,
Wow.
uh,
Wow.
they're changing them still. So every
Sure.
year the laws change and are a reaction to
Mm,
something that has happened in the industry. So you need to be willing to learn and
mm.
coming in with an inquisitive mind. I don't mean open like empty, but coming in with an inquisitive mind of wanting to learn more and without a lot of preconceived, I'm going to change this,
Right. Right. Right.
that's going to be a benefit to no one.
It's almost attitude could be an
Yeah,
overarching
yeah.
characteristic. So as I'm looking at some of the ones that you sent to me, being consistent, having a personality where you can be consistent is important to be an effective board leader because
There's a lot of routine.
Mhm,
And you need to be consistent in that you can schedule board meetings and other volunteer time on the board. So
mhm,
you need to be able to be available and then show up when you say you will.
mhm. Do what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next one is about being fair. And I think you really touched on that about coming in with preconceived ideas and showing
Mhm.
favoritism. Well, my two neighbors on each side, I'll let them
Yeah.
slide on. They can have guests come down to the pool without passes or whatever, you know. Like,
The you have to, and maybe fair. It might not be the best word. Maybe equitable.
mhm,
In that everyone gets equal treatment.
mhm,
Uh, we want the same outcome. We want
mhm,
everybody's lawn to look nice, or
mhm.
we want um, everyone to be able to enjoy the peaceful existence of their life and not have a bunch of uh, horrible noise coming from your balcony,
Sure.
so that the rest of us can enjoy our balconies.
And
So,
sometimes that must be a difficult, I mean, fair, it's easy to just kind of skim over that, but go, oh, you might be having to make really difficult decisions about someone's pet,
mhm,
or pets because there's a limit. Like, oh, wait, I thought I was fair. Now I'm not so
yeah,
sure I want to be fair.
yeah, yeah. Um, the there's a word called equitable, or a phrase, equitable estoppel,
Okay.
which which means that you have to, if you're going to make one person move their boat out of the driveway, you have to make everybody move their boat out of the driveway.
Mhm.
And and you do that because the documents say no boats in the driveway.
Right.
And and that might be more of a uh, of a case of being just instead of fair. Fair says, "Oh, I'm having a really bad day, and my car broke down, and my dog died, and
Right.
got fired from work, and blah 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 blah. It's not fair that you make me move my boat."
Right.
Well,
Just.
maybe
Hmm.
it's maybe not fair, but it's just
Right.
because the community restrictions that you agreed to in writing
Right.
when you closed on your house or your unit said that you would live by all of the restrictions. And so it is just
Mm-hmm.
to
So
impose that.
if you live next to your in-laws, it doesn't matter. They got to get their boat out too, right?
Right,
So,
right,
so
right.
one of the other characteristics of having an effective board member on board is conscientiousness.
Uh,
Tell me what that means to you. What does that word mean to you, and how does it apply to a board member?
Conscientiousness to me means not saying, oh, don't worry about it.
Hmm.
We do want to worry about it because
Mhm.
we are managing the assets that affect the value of other people's property.
Hmm.
If you were back on the back 40 and there was a big old um, armadillo rooting around in your flower beds and out and around the oak tree out in the back, and you go, oh, don't worry about it, he'll go away eventually. Well,
Yeah.
here if we've got a big old armadillo rooting around in the flower beds, it is conscientious to go look at it,
Mhm.
get the critter catcher person to come out there or set a trap,
Mhm.
and let's move the armadillo.
Mhm.
It means taking concerns seriously. Now, not
Mm.
all concerns of owners are the duty of the board to
Mhm.
resolve, but conscientious does mean to,
Mhm.
I don't know, Suzanne, I think I keep going back to
Wow.
listen and learn.
Yeah.
Just be willing to listen, be
Yeah.
willing to learn. I'm not telling you to change your mind or change your actions, but just be willing to listen and be willing to learn.
That seems to be a pattern in the shows that we've been talking about recently. I think probably more um, important than ever in the world that we're living in. Just listen. I don't want
Listen,
to fight, but just
just
listen with an
listen and
open
learn.
mind. Yeah. So detail oriented is one of the characteristics you talk about that's important. Um,
Well,
yeah.
that's particularly important for the manager.
Okay.
There will be some board members on the board who are a lot more detail oriented than the others, but
Mhm.
I believe that needs to be a skill that the manager needs to have.
Mm. Mm.
And with detail oriented comes follow through.
Mhm.
You,
Mhm.
some people are good at starting projects, but they don't finish.
Right.
Some people are not good at starting. They procrastinate,
Right.
and then but finish well.
Right.
You need to do both.
Right.
You need to be able to do both. A lot of managers are self starting.
Mhm.
I mean, their actual position requires them to be because they have absentee board members.
Okay.
And if you don't, you have to take the initiative. Detail
Mhm.
oriented to me includes taking the initiative.
Mhm.
And instead of sitting back and being reactive
Mhm.
about potential situations,
Proactive. Yeah.
managers, I especially believe, need to have that proactive
Mhm.
um,
So
skill.
this is kind of a you can create in your own mind how you are. Someone might be watching this going, "Oh, well, I'm detail oriented. I remember my wedding anniversary every year." Like, what's the other side of, "Oh, oh, honey, no, we're talking about something, why is it so important? What kind of things are you talking about that they have to be detail oriented about?"
Well, a lot of managers do the accounting,
Mhm.
so now you're inputting uh, payments and inputting invoices, paying
Mhm.
invoices, and those have to be done timely.
Mhm.
So that's
That's what left brain admin, right?
that would be a left brain
Right.
activity.
Right.
The There are a lot of statutory deadlines for notices,
Mm.
and one of the things that I tell new CAMs is you need to know how you work.
Mhm.
Someone else might be training you
Okay.
and you're learning it their way, but how do you work? And I don't know if you want me to start into that or if we're ready to take a break,
You
but
know what? Let's take a break and come back to that because I think you got some good juicy stuff there waiting to happen. So this is a good time to break.
because
We'll
I
be
could
right
go
back.
on with this forever.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Okay. Okay.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Welcome back to the show. We are talking about characteristics that are really important to be an effective board member. And Betsy, I want you to pick up where we were because you had some juicy stuff going on there.
Well, some people would say, well, it's just because you're older, but the I know how I need to work, and I have to see my work in front of me, and I have to see it in time ahead of me, in front of me. So back here behind me on my work table, I have about 6 or 7 piles that are laid out that are the beginnings of each of my annual meetings. And then the annual corporate report folders are under those. So as soon as we have a meeting, I'll go on and send in my SunBiz report of the new officers and directors. But I cannot put those folders away and know to work on them. I have to lay them out. And there's some satisfaction to me that as each one is done, there's a new blank spot on the table, and then another clean spot, and another clean spot, and another clean spot, till finally the table's all cleaned off and all my annual meetings are done. Yay!
And this falls under the detail oriented, and you have to know how to work.
Yeah, each person needs to know how they work. There's so many deadlines, especially when you're coming up with budgets and annual meetings and elections. There are so many deadlines. And then then right behind that come the year-end financials and W-2s and the SunBiz reports. So we've got a whole lot of deadlines between, if you're on a calendar year, between December and May. So you've got to get a lot of those done. And then it's time to turn around and start working on budgets again. Right. So there are a lot of deadlines. And I cannot see them on my phone.
Okay.
And to have a reminder pop up every day is not going to do me any good.
So you know how you work and what's best.
I know how I work. Keeping deadlines on a spreadsheet will not work for me.
Okay.
I have this chart that I use in the pre-licensing class for the elections and annual meeting, and I literally used that chart. I copy it and I lay it out here on top of these stacks on my table, and have the deadlines and the dates. And there is satisfaction to me in checking them off. I've done that deadline, that deadline, that deadline. Other people don't get that.
And
I have a phone calendar, which then is on my computer. I've got a paper calendar, and I have a whiteboard calendar that has the whole year on it.
So being detail oriented, I mean, we've spent most time talking about this, of all the characteristics. I mean, being conscientious and fair and just, but detail oriented. I also see you doing work and juggling a lot of things at one time. So if you're the kind of person that comes in and likes one big project and just focus on that, maybe being on the board, just watching you.
It could be that being on the board is okay.
Okay.
The manager is going to be the one who needs a lot of that detail. Mostly, and again, it depends on the community and the level of management that they have. But usually the manager takes all of the detail tasks off the board members.
Okay.
It's very, very often that all of the secretary's duties and all of the treasurer's duties are delegated to the manager in a contract.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Often.
That makes a lot of sense, because I see what you do in your managing. You're not a typical board member, right?
And then most, I'm going to say most, maybe, managers are the point person for all vendors and owners' concerns, point of contacts for any of the professionals like attorneys and CPAs. They're the point of contact, which relieves the board president of having to field all of those owner issues, maintenance issues, vendor issues. Everything goes through the manager. There really needs to be one point of contact for everybody. And that ends up being the manager. But if there's no manager, then board members take those roles. So yes, then they have to be detail oriented and have to know how to keep the deadlines for the tasks for the annual meetings and the budget meetings and all the other meetings that they're doing, and the timelines for the vendors.
This slides nicely into the next characteristic of cooperation, because it's set up on purpose not to be, a one-person system.
Right.
I mean,
so
cooperation, getting along with different personalities, and
And again, if you don't come in with the attitude of what was that first one there, conscientious.
Yeah.
If you don't come in wanting to be a part of a team, if you're going to come in and take over and take control of everything and bully everybody else around,
Right.
and not let anybody else on the board have an opinion, it's not
Yeah.
going to go well. It's a team sport.
Sure. And I want to keep trekking along because I know this next one is super important. I hear you talk about it all the time, and it's board transparency.
Transparency. I hear a lot of that, and I think I keep trying to figure out what the real issue is, what people are really saying when they say transparency. And I think a lot of it has to do with communication from the board to the membership. There's also a misunderstanding, and I think that's where some of the or unhappiness with the level of transparency comes with some misunderstanding. One of the shows we did before was on corporations. The board of directors manages the community, not the members. That's misunderstood. For some reason, members think that they get to make all the decisions,
Right.
And they don't. And so part of it starts with the wrong theory, the wrong point of view. Members don't make the decisions. All they do is elect the people who do. The members elect the board, and the board makes the operational and management decisions. They're not really obligated to tell the owners all of their thought processes throughout the days and weeks and months. Now, owners are permitted to come to the board meetings, but the board meetings are not for them.
Right.
They're not informational meetings.
Right.
And somehow owners think that they are,
Right.
but they are absolutely not informational meetings. These are the meetings for the board to get their work done. Now, what I'm not saying is that boards should not, I'm not saying boards shouldn't communicate with their owners.
Right.
There needs to be communication, but not at the board meeting. And whether communities have websites, or if they have newsletters, or if they have other social opportunities like coffee and donuts on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, and or chats with the manager, or wine and cheese with the board members, at 5 o'clock on Thursdays, whatever those other opportunities for communication might be, by all means, have them.
Right.
But I think the transparency unhappiness comes from a misunderstanding, because I think members are expecting to quiz the board at all the board meetings.
Right.
And be involved in the decision making, and they are not. Now, once the board does make decisions, there are minutes for those decisions.
Right.
And owners have access to minutes, so they can certainly attend the meetings, listen to those, and with limitations, they may make comments to designated agenda items, but there's no town hall free for all Q&A kind of thing that is contemplated by the statute. And I think when boards stick to business and don't go off into all this other conversation of Q&A and all of that, I think when they don't do that is when owners think they're not being transparent. But that's a misunderstanding of what is a board meeting.
Very, very insightful. That's really good. So some of the other ones want to kind of get through: able to delegate, be able to ask for help, be adaptable. The one I want to kind of wrap up with, the 10 characteristics of effective board members, is being thick-skinned. Why is that important?
I called somebody stiff-necked the other day.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
again, it's the listen and learn, or maybe learn, maybe not learn, but just
Right.
listen.
Right.
You know, I don't know. It's interesting to me that when someone has an opinion about something, just a two-way conversation. Someone has an opinion, and the one talking is giving their opinion, and the one listening is trying to think of how to argue against it.
Not even listening. Right.
And they're not listening. They're thinking of what can I say next, and they're waiting to interrupt
Right.
so that they can give their opinion. And so then they end up talking over each other, and neither one of them has understood what the other one said. Now, there's a difference in hearing and understanding.
Right.
And you might have heard that the other person was talking, but you were talking so loud over them, you didn't understand what they said. And I don't know. I'm certainly not perfect, but I have become aware of this skill.
And you are
And
thick-skinned.
well, I am thick-skinned.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
stiff-necked too. No,
No.
but
But you don't take things personally because people, you're dealing with so many different personalities,
see,
and tempers can flare.
but you know,
And I
but
do
if
respect that about you. You are thick-skinned. You are able to keep your composure and say, "Now look, I know that you're upset, but that is important."
the but when someone has an opinion different than yours, here's what the point that I think I would like to make or end with is that the person listening should say, "Tell me more. Tell me how you come to that conclusion. Tell me there's something else that you know about this that I don't. Tell me more." What's wrong with that?
The world would be a better place if we just implemented that today in our lives. Just
What
that's all we do. Yeah.
And I think what I just said to that person is, I want to understand you more.
Right.
And if I understand you more, and maybe you reciprocate, maybe we could actually do business together, or at least not get a
Make some
black
progress.
eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we need to address real quick on this show, how that happened.
Oh, I'd still have the black eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim and I haven't figured out how to kiss yet. That's right, where his chin hits.
In fairness, you were doing yoga and trying to smooch at the
No,
same
not
time.
yoga. I was doing my little aerobics thing.
Aerobics, okay.
He was trying to kiss me goodbye one morning, and I wasn't going to stop. and we dodged each other the wrong way.
Well, we hope that you're feeling better and that, that gets
Fine.
cleared up. It's a great story. And, a lot of us are jealous that you're smooching on the way out the door, so.
I was going to say, well, I had a facelift and it went bad, but obviously I didn't have a facelift.
You're beautiful. Betsy, I love this one. And we love getting into the personalities and talking about more than just the technical, but the emotional and the heart behind what it takes to be, a community manager and to sit on a board. So thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And be sure to share this information if you're part of community living. There is so many great shows and important information people need to know. So thank you for joining us for CAM Matters, and we'll see you on the next show.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.